had some doubts, yeah, I replied to the turban hat. I said to him, Sayyid. You know, they call the black ones Sayyid. They don't say Sheikh.
Yeah, that's me. I'm a Sayyid too.
I said, Sayyid. What? So gathering annually, wailing, calling upon Hussein, and formatting, doing congregation like this. That's not religion. This is not a religious ritual. That's just custom.
So let me.
Who
Can
are
I,
you going to fool?
Sheikh, Shemrani, I'm a Sayyid. I was wondering if I go to
All of
Iran,
us.
if I go to Iran, will I have some success?
his name is Sayyid Imran Munir.
Among the society, I want to,
Yeah,
climb
he
the
was born in the
ranks.
desert
I wanna
of
climb
Medina.
the ranks.
Like
I
literally,
want
the
to
desert
climb
of
the
Medina.
ranks, and I want to be part of the, elite.
Oh, Akhi, for everything, you're opening cans of worms. If you, the Sayyid business itself is a business in Iran. If you're Sayyid, only you're allowed to wear green. Only you're allowed to wear black turban.
That's
Or
correct.
You get
Allahumma
you get double
salli
punishment.
ala
Allah.
Muhammad.
There should be some sort of, people should be able to distinguish each other, The Sayyid should be easly identifiable, and you should be able to, offer your daughters in marriage to them, and there should be all kinds of
this, and we are fair. Ahlus Sunnah are fair. We are fair people. When we point with a finger, 4 fingers point to us. We are not unfair. Do we have bid'ah within the ranks of Ahlus Sunnah? We do. Do we have fraudsters, people who claim they are Sayyids and whatnot, grave worshippers? We do. But what is the difference? Here's the difference. As Abu Muntasir al-Balushi, the Iranian Sunni Sheikh, always says. He says the difference is that within Ahlus Sunnah, there are always groups who fight bid'ah, who fight batil, who call to the truth, who try to purify the ranks, who warn people against shirk, who warn people against bid'ah. But when is the last time you saw a Mu'ammam, in Najaf, in Qom, in Karbala standing up and saying, Inna alhamdulillah, ya ibadallah, ittaqullah, don't commit shirk, call upon Allah alone. If you take oaths, take in the name of Allah alone. If you pray in the name of Allah alone. Of course not, because they don't fight bid'ah. So, in conclusion, bid'ah, falsehoods, evil within our ranks is غير محبوب, is mardud, is rejected, whereas bid'ah, evil, dalalat, zandaqat, heresies in the ranks of Ahl Bid'ah wa Zandaqa is mahbub.
Who's Abu Muntasir Balushi?
Abu
Sheikh Abu
Muntasir
Balushi.
al-Balushi is the guy
I thought it was
that
Jim
many
Belushi's brother.
of you know, but you don't know his name. But like he was the one who called out a lot of the injustices that the Iranian Sunnis were facing in Iran, and he came. I believe his program was interviewed over various Arab televisions, but also out of the UK, where he had I think he had a show or whatever it was they would call it Mustaqbil or something. I forgot what it's called. But they had
him and
Mustaqbil,
Arul
yes.
would. Yeah.
Adnan Arul.
Yeah, and so he would debate them and also comment on the treatment of Sunnis within Iran, because a lot of them, unfortunately, I think there's two sides, and I want to segue into this for a little bit too, because there's two parts here. People need to understand. There's one part which is the theological aspect, that we are very different from the Shia, and we are from Ahl Sunnah, which is, alhamdulillah, it's wadah, like it's clear to us. But there's another element where there are Sunni brothers within Iran who are being persecuted for their belief. And I think that part is something that a lot of people are unaware of. They don't realize, number one, the history of Iran and the Sunni influence over Iran, and the many ulama and scholars, giants that came out of that region. And then after the Safavid dynasty, like what happened to the Sunnis today? Like what are they facing today?
By the way, you mentioned oppression of Sunnis in Iran. You know, one problem I have is whenever this problem is raised, the oppression of Sunnis in Iran, you always have people who come up with with a typical logical fallacy, proper childish mentality. Whataboutery, you know, the whataboutery call. What about the Shias in Saudi Arabia are oppressed? You know, I used to have I want to just mention, because you mentioned Sheikh Abu Muntasir Balushi. Sheikh Abu Muntasir is an Iranian Sunni scholar who, when I left Shiism, I became friends with him since 2005. He has supported me, and he's my close friend. He's like an uncle to me, and he lives close to me, and we work together till this very day. May Allah preserve him. He's an Iranian Sunni sheikh. Half his family was hanged by the Iranian government.
No.
Half his family was hanged. Imagine what is in the heart of this man. And he has not a tiny atom's weight of enmity towards the average Shia. He even always says on his show, the average Shia people are Muslims, he says. He doesn't make takfir on the
Because
Awam.
they don't know,
He
yeah.
says the average, he says our enemies are these with the snakes on their head. Don't call it turban. The snakes around their head. So anyway, as I was saying, as I was saying, the very important point, this whataboutery. I always say to Shias, or even non-Shias, I met some, often people on the far left who say, yeah, but what about Saudi Arabia? I say, wait a second. Is Saudi Arabia, by the way, I'm not a Saudi Arabia apologist, and I'm not someone who makes takfir or I'm obsessed with Saudi Arabia. I wish every Muslim country the best. One time, I said to a non-Muslim, I said this to a non-Muslim who defended Iran and to a Shia guy. I said, is Saudi Arabia, according to you, the incarnation of evil, yes or no? The manifestation of evil, yes or no? He said, yes. Can we expect any good from Saudi Arabia, yes or no? He said, no. Then I said, of course Saudi Arabia is going to oppress the Shia minority. Now, put it aside. I'm an Iranian. When I bring up the oppression of Sunnis in Iran, you shallow-minded person, you cannot come up with whataboutery and logical fallacies and say, what about them? You have to address me with my problem. I'm addressing my problem. So it's irrelevant what Saudi Arabia does. Is Saudi Arabia your standard? Are you following Saudi Arabia or are you following Saudi Arabia or are you the Islamic Republic of Iran? And Khamenei is the deputy of Imam Zaman Ajalallahu Farajahu Sharif. Which one are you? If you are the Iran of Khamenei, the deputy, yeah, he is, by the way. I'm not making up mumbo jumbo.
No, now I understand why they're going to make you mincemeat. Now I get it.
So the supreme leader of Iran, the current one is Khamenei, is the official. Look at the Dajjal. Look at the charlatanism in the name of Ahlul Bayt. Look what these Dajjalin have done. Haram for Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman to sit and vote. But halal for a bunch of ayatollahs who can't read the Fatiha with tajweed, who can't speak proper Arabic. It's halal for them to establish Majlis al-Shura. Iranian government has Majlis al-Shura. Haram for Sahaba, halal to appoint who? Mr. Khamenei. And what do you think happens when Mr. Khamenei dies? A bunch of ayatollahs sit together, and do you know what they do? They play election game. The same game that we thought only Allah appoints leaders. The leader of the Ummah must be infallible. So Khamenei is infallible?
Shit.
Anyway.